He walked into the dealership not as a stranger, but as its future leader. Papers signed, keys waiting, this was supposed to be his day of pride. Yet before he could even take his first step inside as the new owner, he was met with suspicion, disdain, and rejection. The very manager who worked under him had no idea who he was, no idea what power he carried. Instead, he saw only skin color, and with it a chance to humiliate. But what happens when prejudice collides head-on with truth? This is the story of a man who was denied respect in a place he already owned. Marcus had worked tirelessly to reach this moment. Years of long nights, careful planning, and sacrifices had led him to the kind of success many only dream about. When he finalized the deal to purchase the luxury car dealership, it wasn't just a business move, it was personal. As a child, he remembered standing outside dealerships, peering through the glass, dreaming of the day he might one day walk in and choose a car of his own. Now, he wasn't just choosing a car, he was choosing which direction the entire business would take. That morning, Marcus dressed with care. A pressed suit, polished shoes, a quiet smile of accomplishment. Today was about more than paperwork. It was about stepping into a new chapter of his life. The dealership was his. The employees would soon meet their new boss. But as Marcus walked through those glass doors, he was greeted not with respect, not with a welcome, but with the cold stare of a manager who sized him up instantly and decided he didn't belong. Marcus didn't yet reveal who he was. He wanted to see how they treated him, how they treated someone they didn't recognize. What he didn't expect was the level of arrogance and prejudice that would unfold in front of everyone. From the very first words, Marcus could feel the sting of judgment. The manager's tone was sharp, dismissive, as though Marcus had walked into forbidden territory. Instead of a welcome, he was met with suspicion. "Can I help you?" The kind of question that sounded less like an offer and more like a warning. Marcus calmly replied that he wanted to look around, but the manager's eyes narrowed. He made no effort to hide his disdain. He gestured dismissively toward the lower-priced cars near the back, suggesting Marcus might be more comfortable there. His voice carried across the showroom floor, sharp enough for customers and staff alike to hear. Whispers stirred. A few customers glanced at Marcus, then quickly looked away. Employees shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. The humiliation was public, deliberate. And when Marcus's eyes lingered on one of the high-end models at the front of the showroom, the manager stepped closer, lowering his voice but sharpening his tone. "These vehicles aren't for window shopping. People usually come here serious and with proof they can afford it." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He had every right to be there. More than that, he owned the building, the inventory, and even the man standing in front of him. But instead of revealing his truth, he allowed the moment to play out, watching as the prejudice unfolded in real time. Then came the breaking point. The manager, his voice raised now, waved his hand toward the exit. "I think you should leave. We don't want to waste time here." The security guard began walking forward, his presence heavy, prepared to escort Marcus out like an unwelcome guest. The entire dealership seemed to hold its breath, watching a man be diminished in a place that was already his. Inside, Marcus's anger burned, not just for himself, but for everyone who had ever been treated as less than, who had ever been told they didn't belong. But he held his composure, knowing the moment of truth was near. As the security guard stepped closer, Marcus calmly lifted his briefcase onto a nearby desk. The sound of the latch clicking open cut through the silence of the showroom. Every eye followed him as he pulled out a neat stack of documents. His movements were deliberate, his expression steady. He laid the papers flat on the polished surface, his gaze locked on the manager. Ownership contracts, signed, finalized, legal, the proof that Marcus was not just another man walking in from the street, he was the new owner of everything within those glass walls. The room froze, the whispers stopped. Customers stared, employees stiffened, and even the guard hesitated mid-step. The manager's smirk dissolved into shock, his face draining of color. For the first time, his voice faltered. He reached for the papers with trembling fingers, scanning the letterhead, the signatures, the company seal that confirmed the truth he never expected. Marcus didn't need to shout, didn't need to explain. The silence of the room, the weight of the papers, and the undeniable reality of the moment spoke louder than any words could. The man they had tried to humiliate, the man they had shoved toward the door, was the very one who held the keys to their future. In that instant, the balance of power shifted completely. The arrogance that had filled the room was replaced with stunned silence. And Marcus, standing tall, had proven without a single insult or raised voice that dignity, truth, and justice speak louder than prejudice ever could. The dealership would never forget that day. For Marcus, it wasn't just about revealing ownership, it was about revealing the deeper truth behind what had happened. Racism isn't always hidden. Sometimes it shows itself boldly in the words people speak and the assumptions they make before they know the facts. Marcus left the papers on the desk long enough for everyone to see. He didn't gloat, he didn't need to. His very presence was enough to dismantle the lies that had been spoken about him in the last few minutes. The same man who had been dismissed, pushed aside, and told to leave was the one now in charge of signing paychecks, making decisions, and shaping the future of the dealership. But even as Marcus walked out that day with quiet pride, the experience stayed with him. It was a reminder that no level of success, no title, no accomplishment makes you immune to prejudice. He had walked into that building as an owner, and still he had been treated as if he didn't belong. And that is the painful truth. It doesn't matter how far someone has climbed, how much they've achieved, or how much they've earned respect, racism can still meet them at the door. Marcus's victory was undeniable, but it wasn't just his. It was a symbol of resilience, a reminder of the power of dignity, and a challenge to a world that still too often judges by appearance instead of truth. So the question remains, how many more moments like this must happen before the world finally learns to see people for who they are, not what others assume them to be? And when that lesson finally comes, will it be too late?